let's get today started with any type of information, anything that's been beneficial in your life to help things change. Let's see. Anybody? Okay, well.
I was gonna say smacking my head against a mountain.
Yeah. Pain and dysfunction being the opportunity to learn more and grow more. That is a great thing to share that most people will run from. Amory, you got your hand up. Go ahead and unmute yourself. What kinds of interesting things have helped you out in life that you know a little bit more than the average bear about?
Well, not a lot. I mean, a lot actually, but I have to admit, I did not put together any kind of presentation. I had to do some other self-care things last night, and that took my attention instead. But I did realize something that I wanted to share and discuss. So the other day you said that the masculine is to hold space and the feminine is to fill it.
Yes.
And I just have to say that I disagree a little bit on the filling. I don't think that the feminine is to fill the space. I think the feminine is to enjoy the space.
Okay, so let me ask you this. In creating people, in filling the world with people, in creating life, does that same thing apply? Are women just there to enjoy new people coming into the world, or do they actually fill the world with new life?
Well, they do fill it.
Yeah.
But I think that the essence of the energy is more enjoyment. If it's just filling, like if you fill the world, but you should enjoy your life. Like
Yes.
it shouldn't just be this stagnant thing.
Yeah, so I think what's happening here is there's kind of a false dichotomy that's going on. Okay, yeah. You can fill the space with enjoyment. You can fill the space with anger. You could fill the space with nagging. You can fill the space with whatever you want. I would really appreciate much more space being filled with enjoyment. So one of the keys for the feminine to be able to fill the space in the most elevated, the most beneficial way is absolutely by enjoying. And this is what we call the wild feminine dance. That instability, that chaos. If the woman is if the feminine, excuse me, I going to go back and forth on these, and that's not really completely accurate. But if the feminine is fully in her flow, if the feminine is fully embracing authentic nature, there is absolutely a joy and a passion and an unconditional love that comes along with filling that space in her wild, feminine, chaotic, disruptive dance. So yeah, I believe that
I get it.
Combine those two concepts rather than seeing them as counter, and you totally got it.
Yep. That makes total sense. Thank you. That was where I was getting stuck. Appreciate it.
Yep, for sure. So anybody else have any questions, any comments, any concerns? Zach just jumped on. Hey, Zach. Hey, Barbara. Anybody, this is the community day. This is where everyone is going to share something. It could be a joke. It could be amusing. It could be a word of wisdom. It can be a thought. It could be a curiosity. It could be a weird dream that you had the other night. But let's get all of us together moving this episode, Seeds of Life, forward. And again, just to remind you, as you're getting ready to raise your hand or type in the chat that you have something that you would like to share, just going to remind you the mission, the purpose, the goal behind Seeds of Life is each one of us sharing these little seeds of wisdom, these little tiny perspective shifts that maybe in your life didn't really seem like that much, but it was a tiny change in the way that you were actually able to observe or perceive things. And the more of us that are sharing these seeds, the more everyone who's observing this, everybody who's witnessing it, has access of seeing the world in the way that you do. And whenever we have access and seeing the world from multiple perspectives, that drives the information from being processed in the instinctual center, which can only hold about one perspective, one view of things at a time. And it drives that information to be processed in the upper portion of the brain, which is where love and joy and spirituality and bliss and unconditional love, this is really where that home is. This is where the connection is. This is where the correlation to those higher thriving experiences are. So by sharing something that you perceived, by sharing something that you experienced, you are giving access, you are planting a seed in someone else's consciousness that will grow into a much whole, much more healthy perspective and way of going about life, which is through multiple perspectives. So I saw Connie had her hand up. What is up, Connie?
So my sister just gave me this book yesterday. It's called Simple Abundance, a day book of comfort and joy. And it's got a little thing to read every day. And today's is all about, it says, on a clear day, you can see forever. And it's all about being able to just actually see. And I just read through it and I thought it was really cool. Uh-oh, did we lose Tad?
No, I'm still here. I just had to step away from the computer and I didn't want anybody staring at my wall.
But there's this really good quote that says, the greatest thing a human being ever does in this world is to see something. To see clearly is poetry, prophecy, and religion all in one. And I just think that that kind of like ties back to what we were talking about earlier and what we talk about constantly, like holding the multiple perspectives, which Richard and I were just talking about life before we started the Seeds of Life this morning. And it just kind of, we have this thought and this, because our brains work in contrast as humans, I think we get stuck in only seeing things as this or that in black and white. And I think that that's part of like the whole human experience, is to be able to expand out from that and be able to really see. And I think that this gift of time that we've all had for the last month or so, as I'm not downplaying any of the negative things that are going on right now or that anybody is experiencing, but I think that this kind of gift of time that we've been giving is really allowing us to like open our eyes and see things in multiple ways. And it's helped me shift a little bit quicker, because that's like a practice I always try to have. And I notice that when I'm like getting stuck and not feeling good, when I like really look at it, I'm like, oh, it's just because I'm seeing it in this way. So I don't know. I'm just babbling. But
absolutely. And the world is as we are. We experience it as we are, not as it is. So when we see something, we are actually impacting it. And the way that we see it, the energy level that we're in, and the perspectives that we take while we're observing something affect that thing that we are observing. And therefore, that thing that observing starts to have a different effect on us. And we can show this in the laboratory settings through an experiment called the double slit experiment. So if you're ever interested in that, highly recommend that. I think I have a video on it somewhere. If things get too slow, I'll play that video for everybody. It's a really interesting cartoon. So I'm going to share something, and then Zach has volunteered to allow us to dig in and give everyone that's watching a little taste, a little example of some of the things that we've been doing digitally through digital adjustments. Never thought there'd be such thing as a virtual chiropractor for our practice members. So everyone watching here, we're going to get a little taste of what that's like in just a minute. So I'm going to share something first.
I also just want to add,
Yes.
Zach is a celebrity. We have a celebrity in our midst.
Oh, yeah.
TikTok master in the house.
Super force to be reckoned with on the website TikTok. If you haven't checked it out, go check out that. And then he is, I believe his code name or his alias is 2 Finger Short. So check him out on TikTok. So I'm going to share a poem that actually feeds right, that I read today, that feeds right into what Connie was saying. It's by Rainier Maria Rilke. And it says, I know that nothing has ever been real without my beholding it. All becoming has needed me. My looking ripens things, and they come towards me to meet me and be met. And this again comes back to that concept of quantum physics of without an observer, there is only an infinite field of potential. With the interaction of observer, things, particle, matter snaps into a time and a place. But without an observer, there is no matter. There is just a field of potential that could be matter. So it is the observer that causes physical existence to be as it is. And again, the state of the observer affects the matter. So the way that we view things, the perspectives that we take, the energy level that we're in, when we view things actually changes the state of matter. We know that's true on a subatomic level, and there's more and more studies that are coming out showing that given enough data, we can actually see that on a full atomic material level. All right, so we are going to bring Zach on right now. Zach, ready or not? Oh, no, I can't unmute you, Zach. You're going to have to unmute yourself.
All right, I'll unmute myself.
Yeah, hello, buddy.
What's up, brother?
What's been happening?
Everything, life,
Yes.
quarantine life.
How are you observing quarantine life?
Depends on the day, man. Yesterday was freaking ridiculous, but today's turning around a little bit.
Cool. Well, tell us more about, in general, what you've been experiencing.
The negativity's gone insane, at least in my own life. Not getting adjusted when I need to. I'm learning more now how to kind of bring in my higher consciousness or my higher self with me now without going to you.
Good.
And it's been a battle.
Yes. So Zach, when you bring in that higher consciousness, where are you bringing it in from? If you could imagine that higher consciousness was in a direction and you were going to be bringing it in, from what direction would you bring it in from?
Outer space.
Yes. So it's like out above you?
Yeah, it's far away from me.
Yeah. For a particular direction that you notice it.
I would say
below you, above you, behind you, because outer space is all of them.
Yeah, above.
Above. Good. Okay. Yeah. So whenever you do perceive life, perceive yourself, perceive things from that above and then flowing in, how do you notice that affects you?
It hits the heart.
Yeah. In what way?
So, like I'll feel it's like the vibrations and I don't know, it's the light and like when it finally hits, it'll come in through like the crown chakra and then goes straight down into my heart. When it hits my heart, everything opens up. And then pretty much if it connects correctly, I start crying.
So, all right. And then what happens to your attitude and your perspectives after that?
I mean, the attitude is, so on a bad day, like the other day, I had a pretty bad day. But what I did was I went out, or I just was sitting in my room, just trying to meditate and find my higher self and all that. And when it came into connection, when it connected in the beginning, it was sadness. But then it was like I was going through the 12 stages of healing again, because then it was like suffering. And then I tried to do some SRI to kind of bring that in. And it kind of just got to this point where in the beginning I still felt the pain, but then as the day went along, it started numbing away. And then it was just kind of even, there was no happiness or sadness. It was just numb.
Yes.
It was enough to get me through.
So when you get into those higher states, which you're perceiving from the outside flowing in, okay,
Yeah.
it starts to shift where the pain is not really the perspective anymore. Okay. Now, when the pain is there, is your perspective from the outside in, or is it from the inside out?
Well, I would probably say the outside in, like outside circumstances.
No. But how are you viewing those outside circumstances?
Oh, inside.
Yes.
It's from the inside. Yeah.
Yes.
It's how it's affecting me.
Yep. So this is where we talked a little bit in some of the past episodes about internals and externals. And if we are an external, then anytime that we experience, that we view, that we perceive life as us being in here and everything else is out there and we are interacting from the inside out, it's all coming from us. That is the best way to screw ourselves over. Is like Donnie.
Yeah.
Screw ourselves.
No, that's the truth, man.
So this would be the practice, Zach, is can you set a timer or could you create some sort of routine or habit or flow in which you are checking in and actively going from the outside in just on a regular basis, just because it's a good practice to build without waiting for the pain to shake you up and say, hey, wake up, you are going against your nature. What would be some things that you could do to remind yourself to just take that perspective just because it's a good perspective? And if you can take that perspective and it can change the pain throughout the day, what would happen if you did that on a really good day?
No, it'd be insane.
Yes.
It'd bring it back to where it used to be.
Yep. Absolutely. So Zach, whenever you are struggling with this pain, when circumstances seem to be controlling your life, where do you feel that pain?
Stomach.
Stomach?
Yeah, like right above the belly button.
Yep. So this is, again, that stress is being perceived from the inside.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's deep in the gut right now.
Yep.
So,
and that's exactly why it's perceived as pain rather than something higher, like an opportunity. It could be an opportunity to make a shift, and we could perceive it from that. It could even be a gift. But
and the hard part is when you're in that pain is I say to myself, you've been through this enough. You've done all the training. This is just a test of how well you think you know. And then I would go, okay, it's just an opportunity. It's just an opportunity. And then my stomach would hurt even worse. And it was like, what the heck, man?
Because then you're claiming it as opportunity. But when it's an opportunity, you got to take it. You got to roll with it. Just making it an opportunity isn't necessarily going to make it feel better. But if you would observe all of those situations, all of the ones that you don't like, if you would start off observing them from that higher energy level and seeing them as an opportunity, it wouldn't end up as pain.
Yeah.
But again, you'd have to start way sooner with that, waking up and being like, okay, from here on out, I'm calling in that higher self, calling in that outside in, from outer space in. So whenever you're feeling in your stomach, do you feel any of it right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So whenever you're touching that spot with your hands, do you notice any sort of vibration, any sort of movement, any sort of pulsation, any sort of subtle change, or is the sensation completely 100% stable?
It's like numb. It's just stable,
steady. Completely stable and steady.
Yep.
Now, for some people, that would be a good thing. If you are, we talked about triad of change earlier. If you were a structure lead or a structure keystone, then it being stable, it'd be a lot easier to not perceive it as pain. But Zach, your triad is your structure is your drain. So anything that gets perceived as being completely solid or stable is going to suck.
Yep. Yep.
Good. So now, Zach, while you have your hands on it, I want you to move your hands around and I want you to draw on your body using your fingers where the boundaries and the borders are, almost like you're tracing the size and the shape on your body. And while you're doing that, I'm going to explain why we do this. So what we want to do is we want to acknowledge that this pain is just information and energy that's not able to be processed correctly. Basically, it's stuck. And so we want to highlight, we want to show the brain something that it cannot see, which is through that stuckness. And we're doing that with our fingertips, with the sensors in our fingertips, the sensors in the movement portions of our arm and our skin, by showing our brain, hey, brain, this is the part right here that the energy is stuck into. And this is the part that it's really stuck. And then after this part, oh, no, it's not really stuck. So here, brain, here's another way of processing. Here's a different information stream that you can use to change this energy and this information. So you got it, Zach? Did you map it out? Did you draw it?
I mapped it out. Yep.
All right. So Zach, right at the center of it, if you were going to describe the sensation of the center as being made out of some sort of material, or if it had some sort of texture or feeling to it, how would you describe it? Would it be hot? Would it be cold? Would it be rough? Would it be smooth? Would it be twisted? Would it be open and expansive? Would it be gassy?
No, it'd be probably hard like a rock, but it's like numb. I don't know how to explain that.
Okay. And would it be a dense rock, or it would be kind of like a porous, like
it's hollow.
It's hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's hard, but it's hollow.
Yeah, it's hard on the outside, but it's hollow on the inside.
And none of this stuff needs to make sense. It's only showing the brain through different parts of the brain, the sensation, the location. We're going to get into the visualization in a minute, so that the brain can use a lot of different areas to process this information. All right, Zach, so move to the edge, move to the boundary, move to the border.
Okay.
At the boundary and at the border, how would you describe the border of it? Does it dissipate slowly, like fade off? Is it a sharp cutoff? Is it jagged? Is it smooth? Is it free? What's the border like?
I'd probably say sharp, because like when I got right to the border, the pain was the worst. And then it, like when I move my fingers away from it, it just is gone. So like it's like the pain, you could tell I'm getting towards the end. Because it's like when you're on the edge of a cliff and you're getting ready to jump, that feeling in your stomach. Yep. And then it's gone. And then it's like, then I go back and it's there.
Awesome. So, so now go back to the center. Okay. Go back to that hard, hollow rock. If you were going to paint or draw that hard, hollow rock, what color or colors would you use at the center?
Gray and black.
Gray and black. Okay. And now we're activating the occipital cortex, where color and sight are processed. Okay. Now, Zach, move to the edges, move to the boundaries, move to the borders.
Okay.
And at the boundary or border, if you were going to draw or paint that, what color or colors would you use?
Red and orange.
Red and orange. And what kind of red? What kind of orange? Would it be a dull, bright?
The red would be like a bright stop. Don't go any further red.
Okay. And what about the orange?
And the orange would be, it's a little lighter, because the orange, I feel like the orange would be on the outside of it. So it's like that warning signal, like, it's right there.
And the oranges are kind of on the outer border.
Yeah, it's on the outer. It's towards the freedom.
So each color is going to have a specific meaning. It's going to have a representation behind it. And some of this can be, it can be unique. But there are going to be a lot of generalities across the human experience. So red is going to have a lot to do with either the root survival-based chakra. It could be anger. It could be frustration. Orange is going to have much more to do with that second relationship based center and chakra. So in your life up until this point, Zach, how much anger and frustration have been involved in interpersonal relationships?
A lot.
Yeah,
like a ton.
Yeah. So your body's like, you know what? I am storing all of this stuff right in here. I'm condensing it and compacting it so that it doesn't spread out everywhere. But in doing so, it's keeping it stuck. So now
Yep.
we're going to start to liberate it. We're going to start to poke holes in the brain's belief in this solid thing. All right.
Yeah.
So now go back to the center. Okay.
Okay.
At the very center, is there anything different that you notice about it? Just by describing this, just by going through, is that sensation the exact same as when we started? Or is there
No.
something different about it?
It's lighter now towards the bottom. I mean, the middle's still pretty strong, but towards the bottom of my stomach now, it's lighter. Like it feels like a cool breeze.
Yeah. So what we've done, and especially for Zach, this is super important, is we've broken down the brain's belief in it being a solid thing. Now there's a transition in it. There's a little bit more behavior that's going on to it. There's some nuance to it instead of it being this thing. And behavior is Zach's keystone. This is kind of how he manages things. So it's probably feeling a little bit more manageable right now, huh, Zach?
Well, yeah, a little bit.
Yep. So moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, here's the big challenge. Here's the fun part. All right. If that hollow, dense or hollow, hard rock, that black and gray stone, if that sensation were just to pop into a 6 or 10-year-old Zach body, what would 6 or 10-year-old Zach body, what sound would it make if this popped in out of nowhere?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, you do.
No, because what I want to do is cry, and that's not a sound.
No, but what's underneath that crying? What sound would come in if this were just a boom, pop in? What sound would happen right at the beginning of the crying? Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Good. Okay, breathe, Zach. Let your hands drop down to the side. Let your body shift. Relax your body. Kind of let it move. Let it do its thing. Good. And as of right now, if you go back and touch the center of that space again, okay, what do you notice now? Is it still black and gray? Is it still as hard and dense?
The black's gone, but it's more gray. It's
good.
Lighter.
Yeah. Now we're going to go to the edges. We're going to go to that red-orange edge. If that red-orange edge was a sound, what sound would you describe it as?
Well, it's lightened up now, so it would be. It's not even there.
Excellent. Okay, so we can skip over that step. All right, so now we're going to do another thing to poke holes in Zach's brain's belief in this solid thing. All right, Zach, can you take that gray hollow stone and can you shrink it in any way, shape, or form? Can you shrink it a tiny bit? Can you shrink it a massive bit? It doesn't matter how much you shrink it. Just shrink it as much as you can and let us know whenever you can say, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Good. Now, Zach, I want you to expand it out. Make it much, much larger. How large can you make that sensation?
My brain doesn't want to.
I get it. Your brain's very attached to this one. This one's
like barely any, man. It's not even. I shrunk it. My brain's like, that's good. Just leave it right there. Don't expand.
Now expand. And can you get it a little bit bigger than it was?
Barely.
Good, but you still got it. It still counts.
I got it. Yeah, it got up, but then it shot back down. It was like a bungee.
Okay. Now, Zach, I want you to make that sound and shrink it at the same time.
The sound I made?
The sound that it is right now. Like I said, if this shrink it. Good. All right, Zach. Now, is there any direction that you could move it? Could you move it up? Could you move it down? Could you move it to the left? Could you move it to the right? Could you spin it? Could you rotate it? Could you push it deeper in? Could you push it farther out? Is there any direction you could say, oh yeah, there's a little movement there?
Well, where it shoots now, so I went like down and around. I could move it freely, but then when I lifted it up, it shot. The pain went up near my chest.
Yep.
And like it hit, well, again, the heart. So.
Okay, so Zach, I want you to make that sound, and I want you to push that sensation down and out.
Down and out of my body?
Yep. Good. Okay. Now I want you to take that space that you pushed it out into. I want you to take that space. I want you to make the sound, and I want you to pull it in and up. And notice how the sound is changing. Notice how the sound is changing as we're making progress. The sound's kind of lightening up. It's not near the intensity. All right, Zach, now if you would touch the center of where that spot was, what do you experience now?
Emptiness.
And what color is that emptiness? What colors are associated with it? If it was going to be a color, if it was going to be a feeling.
Like a ocean blue, I guess.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
And so, Zach, is that real emptiness, or is it just a different sensation than what it was?
It's different.
Yeah. And is that different? Is that a more comfortable, a pleasant sensation? Is it still a pain, discomfort like it was?
Where it's at now, it's comfort. It's more comfortable.
Yes, and it's moving in the right direction.
Yes.
This is always a process, and especially if it's been there for a while, it may take a little bit more nuance, a little bit more specific focus with Zach. I don't want to give away too many details of what's going on, just to honor him. But I just want everybody to recognize that you can take these very painful sensations and you can change them into something that's much closer to comfort, and it really doesn't take that long. So thanks, Zach, for
buddy,
giving us a peek into Zach world.
Yeah, you guys are welcome for the craziness.
Yeah. Hey, you're welcome to our craziness anytime.
I haven't had craziness in so long, Zach. I've been missing you. I'm going through.
I know.
You live like on the other side
like
of the hill.
2 blocks away, girl. What the heck?
I haven't seen you.
So close, but yeah, so far. Next week,
so far.
Yeah, next week we'll be open again.
I know, right? We all get to get together.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Zach. We'll talk to you soon. All right. So, Barbara, let's see. You have something that you would like to share. So do me a favor. Go ahead and unmute yourself. And let's all hear it for Barbara. Oh, Barbara, are you there? Hello.
You hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
How's it going?
Actually, good.
Good.
Actually, one of those things that I need to review my, microphone and camera and all those things.
Yes.
So, I probably will share more another day or tomorrow or whenever it works.
Okay.
But just to kind of share like the path, the reason or the why.
Uh-huh.
I think I've been on every single of the classes of this series. And for me, I think like very important word is the integration.
Yes.
And what I wanted to share, actually, what I want to share is about practice and self-discipline on how to, I'll leave it there. And how key for me, and I'm guessing for everybody, it's like knowing yourself, like understanding, and probably some of this information is for people that probably heard a lot of the talks that we had before. So I'll try just to assume that some people know. But when I share that part of feeling that you are wrong if nothing is wrong,
yeah,
I think for me, just the fact of sharing and giving that step, like I put a presentation together, has to do with the thing of like, I felt like I couldn't talk about anything because I didn't feel I was an expert of something specific. And then yesterday, I realized that if I look at these different things that I do, the common denominator will be my discipline and my practice and the commitment that at some point I did with myself, or like basically keep improving, right? Like, so knowing myself, it has been like a key, like a very, very important thing. And just identifying that, and I think that's something that I can share more like tomorrow, has helped me. Then I wanted to share just how that I can apply to Kundalini yoga, for example. That's one of the things that I do.
And will you just describe to everyone in quickly what Kundalini yoga is? How is that different from regular yoga?
Actually, I'm not quite sure what's different because I haven't tried all of them. But what I do know, or like the little bit, and again, like starting from, I'm not an expert, but the little bit that I know is that it's more kind of the meditation. It's like it's kind of not more in the meditation part. Like, yes, you do movement, you stretch in some cases, but it's kind of, it takes the body more like the tool to awaken, and we can talk about this, awaken the Kundalini energy, which has to do with the chakras, and use your body as basically as a vehicle to do that with these exercises. Well, you can have meditations or kriyas. Like kriyas are called, I like the more like the movement type of sequence, it's a sequence of movements, and it usually has a purpose. And that's actually something that I really like, that it goes with me, going back to knowing myself, that they have very specific and very intentional, the practices have a purpose. So like if you want to improve your concentration, you could find one kriya for that. Or like if you want to help or to do some healing or help something with your liver or your glands, you may search and find something specific for that, and it has a sequence. So it's guided, and you can find a lot of those things online.
So it's efficient. It's not just doing something for the sake of doing it. You're always using your energy in an efficient way to achieve a purpose.
Yes, correct. Thank you, Tad.
Yes.
And also it has meditations, which I really, really like, because for me, I can really get into that space of connection very easy. And like, because it uses mudras and music. Actually, that's something very unique about Kundalini, I believe, that they rely on music a lot. So there are a lot of Kundalini groups and artists that you can find online. And most of that music has mantras. So you can just play it and kind of get into that, I don't know, that you tune into that, even if you are doing something else. So you can even connect with your practice outside of really practicing. Yeah, I cannot think of anything else. Is that, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
You are welcome.
So, anybody have anything else that they have found useful in their life? Any other perspectives? Any other awarenesses that they have experienced recently that's helped them kind of change the way that they have gone about life? And Tasha says that mantras and meditations have really helped her. She's wanted to meditate, and finally she feels has the time. Yes, isn't that interesting that this whole pandemic, this whole opportunity has showed up in our lives to really peel away all of the distractions and really get down to what is what's up underneath the surface behind the scenes of distracting ourselves. Some of us have found that this is a really, wow, once all those distractions are gone, oh my gosh, there's just so much joy and energy to dive into those deeper levels. Others of us have found that when those distractions are not there, we've discovered how intense our suffering really has become up underneath the surface. So either way, once those distractions are removed, we get a better picture, a better view of ourselves. And this is the benefit. This is the reason that we want to constantly be pushing ourselves in the direction of self-improvement, so that when the when the veil gets peeled back and shifted away, we get to see what's really on the other side. We get to see deep inside of ourselves. So when that happens, we have already built up enough momentum that we can keep going, because it's very disruptive whenever we're able to really see the truth about ourselves. It's really disrupted whenever we're able to acknowledge and be aware of what's up underneath the surface, and to have that momentum going, to have those practices that we've maybe even just tried, or to have those things that have helped us in the past and they're part of a routine. Having that momentum there when we look deep inside of ourselves is extremely beneficial. Otherwise, it can be a little bit shocking, and it can drop us hard into stage one and into discover, and we can get stuck there in stage 3. All right, Connie, what you got?
So I just wanted to share, while we were talking about meditation, that meditation is a huge thing for me, and my constantly evolving idea of what meditation is helps, because I sometimes have a hard time like just sitting and being. And so when I've been able to accept the fact that I can meditate doing other things, that helps me. But I'm going to drop a link into the chat, and this is an app that I used. I found this app like 6 years ago, right after I read this book called Sit, Stay, Heal by this woman, Spike Gillespie. She's a phenomenal writer, and she talked about how meditation kind of like helped her recover from PTSD and CPTSD, complex PTSD, which is what I was diagnosed with after I was raped. And this app is so awesome because it has like just a wealth of information on it. There's like teachers you can follow. It shows you like how many people are meditating at any given time. So you really have that like feeling of community, which is important like right now. And it has its own like social media interface built into it. So you can have like friends, and there's groups. And like sometimes when I've had a really hard time, even just going into the app, even if I don't feel like I have the quote unquote like energy to meditate, the groups that are in there are so uplifting and positive that it's been a really awesome tool for me. And like Tad, you know this synchronicity with it, but a funny synchronicity with me with this app is that you make friends on it, you know, because it has a social media aspect with it. And one of my very first friends that I made on there was this guy named Earl Grey. And fast forward like 6 years later, where we are now, and I'm like, you know, carving down this path to be a life coach or whatever kind of label I want to give myself. And a good friend of mine is like, hey, I have this guy who I know in Maryland. His name's Earl Grey. That's a life coach. You guys should connect. And he connected us, and him and I had like a phone call, and we stay in touch now. And I didn't know until after I had that phone call, after like meeting him in real life, that Earl Grey was my first friend on the Insight Timer, and we've been meditating together for years. And so now we like send each other meditations, and like the app helps me sleep too. Richard snores really bad, and I'll put the headphones in, and sometimes that's like when I can't sleep, if he's snoring, or if I can't sleep just because I can't sleep, I always struggle with that. That app really helps me with it. So that's just a resource that I kind of wanted to share with everyone, because it really has changed my life. And it's funny because it came into my life 6 years ago when I
obviously was on this path, but not really conscious of it. And then it's like made like a full swing back into my life again. And it's just such a cool app. I think everybody should use it, and it's free. So if you want to dig into meditating, there's all kinds of fun stuff in there.
Awesome. Thank you, Connie. So anybody else? Last chance. Tasha just said she's realized she's had the app, but she's never used it. Well, see, that's that momentum we were talking about, Tasha. When you look deep in yourself and you go, oh my gosh, I need to meditate more. And then boom, you already have that tool in your tool belt because you've been focused on self-improvement for a while. So good job. Great way to build up that momentum. So anybody have anything else that they would like to share? Any comments that they would like to make? Any sort of questions? If not, we're going to wrap it up today. Thanks you everyone so much for joining us and keeping this up. Tomorrow will be the, if everything goes according to plan, tomorrow, Sunday, will be the last of our daily Seeds of Life. And then we're going to open it up and we'll have some sort of way to keep this going, but more from a community base. Connie and I are going to kind of work on how to set this up in a way that we can all contribute so that this can be a labor of love from all of us. And Tasha asks, are the virtual classes going to stay on? Yes, the virtual classes from here on out, most likely what we're going to end up doing is we're going to have all of the classes be online as well as in person. Moving forward, what we've thought about tentatively so far is going to be to have a very select few people coming in. So maybe the first people that want to sign up to come in person, because we do want to have people gathering physically, but we need to respect and honor the rules and laws that have been put in place. So we're not going to be able to have more than 10 people gathering. We're going to have to make sure that everybody that comes in for the classes is 6 feet apart and all this other stuff. So we're going to drastically limit the amounts that can be in the physical office as of right now. And when things change, we'll open it all back up and come back as a big, huge, more loving, more connected community. But right now, all classes will be online as well as in person unless something changes. So stay tuned for that. This next class that's going to be coming up is going to be on the 12 stages of healing and the seasons that we go through and understanding those. We may do a few of the SRI exercises that are incorporated in it. I have a feeling that this class is not really going to be as much of the experience like last week's class was, or the 2 weeks ago's class was, and 2 weeks from now class will be. But this is just going to be kind of the understanding much more from a scientific and much more from a physiological perspective, is what kinds of changes can we expect psychologically and physiologically, what changes have been predictable in the research at each one of these different stages of healing. So tune in this Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. As always, please share these links. Please go to our YouTube page, subscribe, share the links to the YouTube page. If you feel called, go to organiclivingchiropractic.com and donate so that we can keep this content going. We can keep all of us inspired and thriving. Thanks again for joining us.
Can I end with a quote? I got a quote
Yes.
I'd like to share.
Awesome.
This one also popped up in my memories today from, I think it was from 2 years ago. I'd never say this guy's name right, but Thich Nhat Hanh or Thich Nhat, how do you say his name? Do you know?
Thich Nhat Hanh.
Thich Nhat Hanh. Okay. So it is, I think it's just really kind of poignant with where we are as a collective right now, but inspiring. So it says, fear keeps us focused on the past or worried about the future. If we can acknowledge our fear, we can realize that right now we are okay. Right now, today, we are still alive and our bodies are working marvelously. Our eyes can still see the beautiful sky. Our ears can still hear the voices of our loved ones.
Yep. And remember that what we focus on, we energize and we expand. So when we're focusing on the positives, we're going to experience more of that. When we're focusing on the negatives, we're going to experience more of that. So takeaway from today, per wisdom from Connie, is focus on everything that's going right in your body and in your life. And we will see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Love you.
You can do that, Tasha. I'll work on that. What quote did you say?
I'll post it on Facebook.
Okay, and I'll post
Okay.
mine.
Yep. Love you guys. Bye.